You're recording.
All right. So here we are. So today's goal is to really just get familiar with the platform and go through the steps of what it takes to get up and started. So before we go ahead and hop into the platform, I just have a quick few slides that will help kind of visualize and stage us for the training today. And I will provide this after the call, so you'll have it for reference as a takeaway. So I'm Gina. I'm the trainer and customer success for Rotary. We do have 3 customer support specialists dedicated to Rotary. That's Tanya, Cynthia, and Jerry. And you can contact them with this email, support@eventgroovefundraising.com, and as well as the phone. So we're in Montana, so we work 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Montana time. Go ahead and email us anytime, and if you do, just allow up to 24 hours for a response, just in case we're working through that queue there. So the Rotary platform, fundraising platform, gives us 6 different types of fundraising options, from raffles to sales, crowdfunding, and sweepstakes. This platform will enable your club or the district to host a fundraising campaign and then obtain funds based on the fundraiser type that they choose. You can choose multiple and have multiple campaigns running at a time as well. But today, instead of focusing on those campaign types, we're really gonna just concentrate on getting started. So today we're gonna go through these 6 steps, and we're actually gonna set it up for the district lifetime, and will be the exact same steps that a club will have to do to register and set up their club. So the first step is just going to your designated URL for your platform, which I'll go ahead and send after the call as well with a quick get started guide. Second is just filling out your information, first name, last name, email address, and creating a password for your account. Then the second step will be entering the information for your club. So that's where you will need your EIN number handy, and we can go ahead and search and find your club from our database. If we don't have it in our database, it's not a problem. You can go ahead and add it as well. So if you don't see it there, don't worry about it. We can go ahead and add it in. The third step is verifying and connecting your Stripe account. This is probably the most important step because it's what really allows you to publish campaigns and host fundraisers. Connecting that Stripe account allows us to process all of those credit card transactions and then deposit it directly into the club's account. After that, everything else is optional, but it's kind of fun and a good idea to customize your profile to your club. So you can update that club profile with a unique club image, add a description, add your social links, and create a donation page just for your club. You can also add custom branding with subdomains and also invite other team members in your club that may also be helping you create and manage those fundraisers on the platform. So I've included some links here as well. So you'll notice these 2 that are underlined link out to specific articles. So if you need like a step-by-step, we have that. We'll do it today in person, but if you're one of those people that like reading more than watching, that's available to you as well. I've also included on this deck at the end some additional resources of what we're reviewing today. So you have that for a reference as well as the recording of this session. So let's go ahead and dive in and just take a look at your platform and see what it takes to go ahead and get started on the Rotary District 5010 platform. So to get started, you'll have to go to gorotary5010gives.org/start, and that will take you to this page here. And you'll see we have our 2 steps here where 1, we need to fill out the information about ourselves, and then 2, we'll be filling out the information about the club. So as an example today, we're actually going to create the district's organization on the platform, so the district can also create fundraisers for Polio Plus. Once I have this created, I'll go ahead and add the district members, so then they will also have access to the club, the district as well. So I'll go ahead and just fill this in. continue. And then you'll see we land on that second step, which is registering the organization. So here is where you have to have your EIN number handy, which I do. Thanks, Joe. Paste it in there, and then here we go. We can search for the club. And it looks like this is another great example. We're not seeing it here, but that's okay. All we need to do is click, I couldn't find my organization, I want to add it. And then there's just a few more questions we need to fill out to get that organization registered. So we'll enter the state. Yes, it's a 501c, and then here we'll paste that EIN number. And then we'll also enter in the organization's name. So this will be your club name. And because I'm registering the district for us today, we're adding that district's information. Once we have that here, we'll go ahead and click Start Fundraising. There might be a quick verification step to make sure you pass. And once we go, okay, now we're into the account. So this is the first screen you'll see when you get access into the platform. We call this the Getting Started Guide. And the goal of this page is to go down each line item here and receive a green check mark next to each. So verifying the account is our first step. And you'll also see here at the top in orange, we're asking you to verify the account as well. So if you haven't done this yet, go ahead and click Verify Account. And it will take you to this page where we ask you to upload a verification. Now, it does say we're asking for that 501c3 status. We actually are just looking for 501c status. And really the verification here, we're looking for something that just aligns your name with your organization. So if you have a screenshot of your name on your website, go ahead and take that screenshot, upload it here. That will shoot it over to our team. And all that's doing is just making sure that we're making sure that you're verified to receive funds on your organization's behalf. So once that's complete, we can go back to that start guide here. And the next step is to set up the payment processing. So payment processing is with Stripe. We can access it at any time from this screen on this line item here, or we can also access it underneath the settings under payment processing. So here's where we connect our Stripe account. If you don't have a Stripe account created, you can create one directly on the platform right here. Once you create that Stripe account, it will automatically connect it to the platform. If you do already have a Stripe account, then you can click here to link your existing Stripe account. So can someone confirm, is this an existing Stripe account? Or do you have one yet?
I don't think so. I don't think we have a Stripe.
Okay, so I'll walk through and kind of give a preview of what it looks like to create one, but I won't actually create one. Janine, we can have you and your team come back and finish that after the call. But so you'll click create a Stripe account, and that will load up the Connect Stripe connector. And basically here, it will just have you enter in an email and a password, or create a password for your Stripe account. And then it'll ask you for information relating to your club or foundation. So you'll, again, need your EIN number handy here. You'll also need your bank account and your routing number handy. Once you have that all connected, you'll hit save, and then it'll pop you back to this same screen. And instead of saying create a Stripe account, it'll say your account is connected. And so that's all it takes to create a Stripe account. Once that's up and running, you can then publish campaigns and process those donations that are given to you. So next on the start guide is updating your organization's profile. So if we take a look at the organization's profile for the district here, we can see we have our common display name. If we wanted to shorten that, maybe to just 5010, we can update that so it's a little more friendly. Here we can add the organization's logo and a description of the district or your club right here. So in this section, you can also add additional links, images, videos, anything that you may need to help describe your club and your club's purpose. If you have a website or any social links, you can also add them here, as well as the physical address of the club as well. And then last at the very bottom is customizing the tax receipt, the tax exempt statements on the receipts. This is a default statement that will be applied to all of your campaigns going forward, but you will have an opportunity when you're creating a campaign to overwrite that and write a more specific tax exempt receipt if you need to. So we'll hit save and we'll hop back over to that start guide. Next is custom branding. Custom branding allows clubs to add specific club information across the platform. So it looks less like a district platform and more like the club platform. So to enable club branding, you can toggle on club branding here. And then you can create a subdomain. The subdomain typically will be the club name .rotary5010gives.org. The district, because it's the district platform, won't have a subdomain. They'll just have Go as their subdomain, so we won't update that here today. But some other things that clubs can do is add their organizations or their club logo to the header, so they can replace the District 5010 logo here with a club logo, so that's what's displayed on all of their campaign pages. If you want, you can also replace the favicon, which is this tiny image up here. It's the rotary wheel, and I think it fits perfectly, so it's probably very unlikely that you'll need to do that. And then finally, you'll see all of the colors of the elements on your donor-facing pages located here. They are all preset to Rotary approved branding colors. So it's very unlikely that you'll need to update these, but if you do have a specific campaign that has branding on it that is off of the Rotary brand colors, you do have the opportunity to update that here. We can also overwrite the logo to donor email. So by default, all of the emails that come out of the system will have a header of the Rotary District 5010. So it's this same image here will be at the top of all the emails. If you want to replace it with a club specific logo, you can upload that logo here.
Gina, quick question.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you said it, maybe I missed it. Will Janine set up each of the club accounts under the district account? Because we don't want 47 different people in here trying to set things up.
So every club will come in and create their own club account and connect their own Stripe account, and they will be responsible for setting this up and creating it.
All right, I guess we're going to have directions. We're going to have a video follow along. And
yes, you'll have this video to provide them, and then we also have some links that I can send out, so it'll help them get started.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hit cancel here, but that's the area where you can update your payment processing. And then the last is creating a donation page. So I'm just going down the list here in the settings to make sure that we have all of our customization here. Oh, actually, before I do donation pages, let's go ahead and add users. So once you have your club account created, you can add users to that club. So then those individuals have the ability to create campaigns under your club's account. So under users here, we can add the additional district users, and these individuals will be the ones creating the campaigns under the district account. So all you need to do to add a user is click add user, enter in their email address, and then you'll have an option to choose the role. Staff versus admin, there's not a whole lot of difference here, but the major difference is the staff member does not have access to update the payment processing. So if you have like a treasurer or someone who needs to log in to create your Stripe account, you'll need to give them admin access. You can go ahead and if you hit save, you'll have the opportunity to enter in multiple emails. And give them access as well. And then you can send all of those invites out at once. So once those emails are sent out, they will, oh, Ted, do you have a question?
Yes, does each club have to set up its own Stripe account?
Correct. And that's really beneficial because then there's no commingling of funds. Everybody's funds on the platform will be totally separate from each other. So the club, Club A and Club B won't have to reconciliate with each other. They're all completely contained in their own organization.
Yeah,
Right. They all have their own bank accounts, so that would make sense.
yeah, it sure makes a lot more sense to me for it to go straight to the clubs without delay at our end, and similarly, without us having to go and do it and then try to reconcile it and all that with them. I'd rather they do it, not Janine.
Agreed.
We're overworking Janine as it is.
Yeah.
Here, here. I'll clink my glasses for that, Janine.
Great.
I've got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Almost none of us have a 501c3 designation. Not the district, not very many of the clubs have that.
Ted, which is of course something we've been urging for years, but of course, you know how long it takes to get anything done in Rotary most of the time. Gina, is that going to cause a complication at this time or not?
No, not on the Eventgroove side. All you need to be is a 501c. We don't care particularly about the designation, if it's a 3 or a 4. You'll still be able to come onto the platform and create your fundraising campaigns and accept donations for them. The only difference where a 501c3 versus a 501c4 comes into play is actually on the Stripe side of things. If you're a 501c3, you do have an opportunity to receive a lower processing fee at 2.2% plus 30 cents a transaction versus C4 is a 2.9%. So
Question about access. When the district sets this up, is it then the district's responsibility to give each club access? Each club president or whoever?
No, it's up to the club. So it'll be the club's responsibility to come in and do what we're doing today to set up their individual club.
Yeah,
But how do they get access initially to do that?
Yeah, all they'll need to do is go, oh, and you might have missed the very beginning of our call, but all they'll need to do is go to gorotary5010gives.org/start. And I'll send that information so then they can just literally click through and to get started.
Gina, this is Joe. This is my thought. Hopefully this won't be too cumbersome, but what about the possibility of going and saying, if you want to, here's what's available to get started, 'cause since we want to keep an eye on it too, any club who wants to get started with a campaign, first contact Janine, Rosie, or myself, and we will go and then connect them with you by a mutual email. Would that be workable from your perspective? Then they could work directly with you, or is that too much hassle?
I think because I'm only one person, I don't want to be the bottleneck, but we could definitely send them to the support team and they could help set them up. Are you just worried that they won't be able to follow the instructions to independently?
Stand by one. I don't know how to answer that. I have a phone call, excuse.
I do have another question if we're at a kind of a question point. So our club has what we call our memorial fund, which is a 501c3 and historically has been, and then we have our generic club funds. Is there a way to incorporate both of those into this platform, or do we have to have separate accounts, or do we just pick one or the other type of situation?
Yeah, from a platform perspective, we do support the ability to have multiple organizations under one. So Chris, if you were to have a single login, you would have access to both organizations. And just let me know, and we can kind of set that up separately, and I can send you the instructions on how to do that. Robert Friend does have a really nice visual on his recommendations from a Rotary standpoint and what his district has done, because I believe, club, I don't remember what way it goes. It's either clubs can give to foundations, but foundations can't give to clubs or something like that. So setting up the club that can pass that money to each could also be beneficial, just having one, and then you can pass that money outside of it as well. But if you want to have both of them, you definitely can. And it could all be located under one login, which is really nice.
Okay. And then one more question. It's brought up that most clubs are not 501c3s, but if we wanted to run some type of a fundraiser, let's say for World Polio Day, which has been on everybody's mind lately, giving through this platform would go to the clubs directly, so it'd be non-tax exempt versus going directly to the Rotary Foundation Polio Plus Fund. So if we wanted to do a fundraiser and say it's a decent sized fundraiser, a raffle or something like that, and people are wanting to donate, $3,000 or something like that, it appears that they wouldn't be able to get that tax exempt because it's running through the club and then to the foundation.
Yes. So I said it backwards. So if you set up your foundation, then you can, one, have that lower stripe processing and have that tax exempt. And then if you needed to pass, any of that money to your other club, then you could do that outside of the system. And I'll follow up with that visual that Robert has to kind of help solidify his recommendation. If you wanted to just have one, but just know it's totally possible. If you have a club and a foundation, we can set them both up on this platform, and you still only need one login to access them.
So is there a way to tie the Rotary Foundation in to where the funds are passed through to the foundation and never touch our club so that they can still get their tax exempt? Because right now we can go on the foundation website and make donations and things like that. I'm talking the International Foundation, not just our club foundation.
Oh, the International Foundation. So they're going to go directly into your foundation's bank account, and then you would have to handle that transactions of funds outside of the system.
Gina, it's Joe. Question. Will you be providing 1099s to each of the clubs directly from the system at the end of the year, or how does that happen?
We don't provide 1099s, but we do provide lots of supporting tax documentation that you need. So we can definitely work with you to get whatever you need from us to support you.
I assume the Stripe would probably send out the 1099s.
Yeah, I think that they do as well.
Okay, that makes sense, Chris.
Hey, I kind of came in late on this, and my understanding, I guess, was this was being set up for the World Polio Day fundraising, basically, and then also for the water project in Malawi.
I think this is being set much more generally. It's just that those are the two immediately on tap with a, immediately on tap with those being used as pilot projects.
Okay, and so our reason for running them through this way instead of directly to RI was to enable us to get DDF to match is the polio, or to get district funds to match the polio donations that people make?
Well, no, I mean, we're going to be running it. Okay, let me make sure I understand. We're doing this on a long-term, much broader basis, Janine, rather than just World Polio Day. World Polio Day happens to be first up in the batting order. The reason we're running it this way is so that we can run all kinds of fundraising campaigns for clubs and district levels, not one or two specific ones. And we're going to take it obviously into our account. I have no desire to run it directly into the RI account. It needs to come into our account, and then we'll forward it with Cheryl's DDF money next spring, so that we can, we end up with match and that kind of thing.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah.
Were we doing this so we could get the DDF match? That was
We're-
really my question.
No, we're doing this because it's the only way to get it done. We would do it regardless of match. But we are going to go and set the timing so that we, in addition, also get match from next year's Rotary Foundation allocation.
Okay, that was kind of where my question, because when we give directly to the foundation, they get 100%. And this way, we're going to be paying some fees. That was just really my question.
Oh, you mean the fees on the credit cards?
Correct.
It'd be kind of, to some extent, if they paid by a card anyway, it'd be true no matter what.
When you send directly to the foundation, we don't, I don't know.
Do we have a foundation corporation for the district at this time?
No.
Okay. We should probably set up a district foundation corporation and run it into there, if not immediately, at least eventually. Where would you be putting the stripe money?
Well, it'll go into the district's account right now. The way we're talking, whatever everybody sends for this program will go into the district account, the district bank account.
Let's talk about this one when we're not recording.
Okay.
I think we don't want to get there too far.
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead, Gina, and we'll work this part out later.
Great,
Off
that
recording.
sounds good. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign out of this account and sign into my a sample account that I've already created, so we can get a good look and feel of what it takes once we've completed those steps that we just reviewed today. So you'll see this is my demo org, or my demo club account that I've created on the platform. And I've started filling out all of the information here. So you'll see as you complete each step, you'll receive a green check mark next to each, so you know that that step is done. So once you have your account verified and your Stripe account connected, we can start collecting funds on the platform. When we were talking with the district, they were particularly interested in a donation page. So I've created a donation page as an example. All of our donation pages are located here, where you can just click donation page, and that will take you to our list of donation pages. You can create as many donation pages as you like. So if you want like a Polio Plus specific donation page versus maybe a generic club donation page, you can create those multiple pages and share them out to your network so that they can start donating. Donation pages are really helpful when you don't have any active campaigns going. So if you didn't have a raffle or a crowdfunding campaign, your donation page can just be an ongoing place where you can send donors to give you funds. So I've created a donation page here, and I like to start, with the end in mind. So I'm going to show you the end goal of creating a donation page. So here is an example of my donation page here. We can customize almost everything that we see on this page. That includes the header and that subtext, as well as the background image. You can also customize the donation amounts or even toggle them on or off if we want. We can also make them a reoccurring donation. So this is really handy if you're accepting club dues or any reoccurring statement. Someone can just sign up for it and then it's like set it and forget it, and they know that they're set for their weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly donation. We also have the option to make the donation in honor or in memory of someone. And you can enable this to make your donation anonymous, meaning your name will be hidden. Next, we'll be entering in their credit card information. And then on our donation pages, Eventgroove doesn't collect any sort of platform fee on a donation page. So the only fee you'll be needing to cover is the Stripe processing fee. And we have 3 ways that you can choose to fund that. The first is you can cover it. The second is you can make your donors cover it. Or the third, which is what you see here, is asking your donors if they'd like to cover it. When we use this third one, which is my favorite, we typically see about 75% of donors opt in to cover that cost for you. So it's a great way to get those Stripe fees covered without having to force them to do it. Last is they'll review their donation and then they'll hit donate. So this page comes with a designated URL. So you'll share out this link to your network, on your social. We can even create a widget to paste on your website so that your network can easily find and access this page. So let's take a look at what it takes to set up a donation page. I'm going to click on this gear here, and the only reason this gear is here is because I'm logged in as an admin of this donation page, so a regular donor wouldn't actually see this gear. So I'll pop that open. This is what I call the donation page management dashboard, where we can also view donations, manage external donations, and then create that widget for our website. I'm going to pop open the edit portion here so we can see what it looks like to set up a donation page. So what we're looking at here is essentially what you would see if you were to start a donation page from scratch. It's also very similar to what you would see if you were creating a campaign. So if you were creating a raffle or an auction, it's that same look and feel where we have the steps that you need to complete at the top. Donation pages are the shortest with only 2 steps. A-thons tend to be the longest with 7 steps. So depending on the campaign type, it's really us just walking you through step by step. And it's kind of like a fill in the blanks, right? So walking you through, if you missed a step, we'll let you know. It's really hard to break it. You can't break it, you can't get it wrong. So it's really just going through down the page and filling out the missing information. We also have these little eyes next to all of the boxes. And these are just little informational icons that if you click on them, will give you more information about that section that you're filling out. So that's really handy. If you're like, well, what the heck is this for again? You can click on that. It will either give you more information, or sometimes it will also give you a preview so you can see where that text will show up on the page. So at the top, the first option we see is we're choosing the wording that supporters will see. By default, we have donors and donations, but if you are, requiring like annual membership or something, we can call it members or supporters, or even something more specific, you can create your own. We can also refer to funds specifically. If you want to make it a contribution or a pledge, or even just a transaction, you can do that here. Next is creating the title and the subheadline, selecting that time zone, and then choosing when that donation page should start. So this you'll also see on all of our campaigns as well, choosing when your campaign should start. We have two options. The first one is to publish that page immediately, meaning as soon as you publish it, it will be live and people can donate or contribute. The second one is choosing a specific date and time that your page will be live or started. The donation page itself will be active. It's just the buttons within it for them to donate will not be active until that designated date and time. This is really handy when we'll talk about auctions. I'll dive into it a little bit more, but if you have like a preview where they can, on an auction, they can preview the items in it, but they won't be able to bid until that specific date and time. So that's when that second one really comes in handy. Next is adding the background image, determining what that call to action will say. So by default, we say donate, but if you wanted to make that call to action say give or purchase or even something else, you can customize that here. Here's where we set the preset donations. If you want them, you can also disable them so that they enter in the donation that they want manually. And we can also require donors to provide a mailing address and a phone number at checkout. This is pretty handy if you're gathering that additional information, or if you want to write them thank you notes, you can gather that mailing address right here. After that is customizing the thank you wording on receipts. So the thank you wording appears after they've hit submit and process their credit card. They'll see that on their confirmation page. We will also send them a confirmation email. So they'll see that wording in that email as well. We do have some default text in here where we automatically populate their first and last name, as well as the club's or the organization's name at the bottom. But you can customize any of this, so it's more specific to your fundraiser. Add additional links if you need to, bold or format the text however you see appropriate. This is a pretty neat feature that you'll see on all of our campaigns. We call it text to give. Text to give allows you to create a custom keyword associated to your campaign or your donation page. And then that will allow anyone to text that keyword to the phone number designated to your platform. Then the platform will automatically respond with a link to your donation page. So that way they don't have to search for a link or type in a URL. They can just send a quick text and receive that link. Then the last step here is just personalizing that page link. So we can personalize everything after the backslash here. This is optional, so if you don't want to, it'll just be a bunch of numbers and letters. But by personalizing it, you make it a little bit more memorable for your campaign and a little bit more custom for your club. So after we enter in that personalization, we'll hit validate to make sure that no one else in the platform is using that link. And then we'll know that this link will be the one that we'll share out with our network to ask them to donate. The O2 advanced options are all optional, but here we can add what we call a fund code, and fund codes are applicable to all of our campaigns as well. Fund codes is a code that you can create that attaches itself to every transaction on your campaign. So this comes in handy, especially for your treasurer, because then they can see, okay, all of these funds are associated to this campaign, and they can direct where the money needs to go according to its fund code. Is there a question?
Yeah, this was Joe. I'm assuming that that we're looking at essentially one Stripe account corresponding with one bank account, correct?
Correct.
At this point. And with things like foundation, we don't want to be commingling money. So that tells me we need to set up a new a separate bank account. if we don't already have one, since the money's going to be coming, as Janine pointed out, coming to us to be held on Polio Plus so that we can ensure matching later on. Is that making sense to people, or am I off base?
George would really, too bad he's not on this call.
Yeah.
He would have to probably just it would be a restricted fund, just like some of the other ones are right now that we have on the, in the district where we restrict them and they're held.
Okay. Anyway.
But Joe, if you use this feature that Gina just just explained that has the fund code, then even though it goes into the general district bank account, it can then be distributed to the proper fund that you need.
I got that, but it's just a lot more work. It's delay, and it's commingling funds, which, legally we don't want to do. Well, we'll work out the bank accounts in a little bit, okay?
Okay, and just to be super clear, every club will have their own bank account. And so every campaign under that club will be going to that club's bank account. So that we're not sharing any bank accounts across clubs or across the district.
Yeah, right, understood.
Okay, great. We can also add additional funds to the donation page. This is more commonly called causes. So if you wanted to roll up a Polio plus maybe any other causes that you're trying to support into one page, you could do that here. We can also overwrite what donors see on their credit card statements. So by default, they will see the organization's name or the club's name. But if you want to overwrite this so it's more specific to the campaign, you can overwrite that here. We can also enable that anonymous donation, as well as enable the ability for them to make their donation in honor of someone else. We also have an opt-in checkbox available to you. And then if there are any other pieces of information that you need that you haven't collected from them yet, you can add a custom field to gather that information. So by default, we're getting their first name, last name, an email address. You can see on the donation page, we could also enable getting their phone number and mailing address. But if there was anything else you need from them, you can create a custom field to gather that information. This second section is probably not super applicable to a donation page, but it is an area where you can upload any terms of service. This is commonly used in like an auction where you may be auctioning off alcohol that requires someone to be of age to bid or participate. So you can require that they acknowledge and agree to those terms if you enter it in here. You can also add email addresses to be notified every time a donation is made. I would use this in caution because it can create a lot of noise in someone's inbox if you're receiving a lot of donations. You can, of course, as a club admin, you can come in here and look at the donations at any time and export them as well. All right, here is where we select how we want the donors to pay the credit card processing fee. So there's our three options there. First one, donors are paying the fee, meaning we're passing it on to donors. The second one, you'll be covering that fee, so you'll be paying that credit card processing cost. And then that last one, which is the best of both worlds, you're asking your donors if they want to pay it. If they don't, then you'll cover it for them.
I understand that about 75% of the time, the donor elects to pay the fee.
Correct.
Which deals with the Rotary Foundation 100% aspect as well.
Wonderful. And then anything else that you need to add, you can add them as FAQs. This is commonly added if you receive multiple questions regarding a campaign, you can kind of spearhead those questions and add them as FAQs to the donation page so they have the opportunity to read more before they donate. So after we fill out those advanced options, my page is already published. Instead of seeing view page here, we would see publish. Once you click that publish page, we'll ask you one more time just to confirm that you want it to go live. When you hit yes, the page will be published, and you can go ahead and start sharing out that unique URL to your network. You'll also receive a confirmation email, and you'll go to a confirmation page, so you'll have that link readily available to start sharing out. And so once you do that, that takes you to your page where you're live, and you can start, sharing this out to your network. Again, you can come back at any time and edit any portion of that donation page. You can view the donations made on that page. If you wanted to submit, if someone gave you a check, or maybe just gave you some cash when you were chatting to them, you can account for that money on the campaign by managing the external donations. So you can kind of roll it all up so you have one total view. And then that last option here is creating that widget. So this is a little snippet of code that we create for you based on what you customize over here. When you save and get the code, it will create this little script for you that you can copy and paste onto your website, and it will render this little preview here. So it's just a nice, clean looking way to cross promote on any website as well. And that's really just the overview of us getting started. So again, getting to that start guide and just working down the settings here and trying to get those green check marks, specifically on the payment processing, as well as getting your club verified. You can see at the top here, I don't have that green or that yellow bar because I've already submitted my verification. So that's gone away, and I have my payment processing done, so I can start creating my donation page and start creating campaigns.
And we'll get the, after everybody else is off the line, we're done recording, we'll get some of that started, I guess. Or we could do another time as well if that's more convenient.
Yeah, I got time now if we want to stop the recording, and we can, either you can drive and you can create your donation page for Polio Plus, or I can do it and you can watch, either way.
I guess my part of it is, let's talk offline. We don't need to keep everybody else on here at this point. Is there anything else that you want to talk about right now, Gina, that would be pertinent for the entire group?
I think that is it for now. I do recommend having some training sessions drilling in specifically on the different campaign types. Once we're set up and we're feeling comfortable in the settings section,
Okay.
and dive into the campaigns.
Could we do this and see what everybody else thinks? Could we go and schedule a time perhaps on, say Tuesday or so, to give us a chance to set up some basic accounts, set up a different account so that the money can go into that and keep that clear. And let's schedule a time maybe for Janine, myself, perhaps our treasurer, and whomever else, to set up an account or two, and then we'll take it from there. If that would be workable.
Yeah, I mean, so are you offering, you're not sending accounts out for your clubs though, are you?
No, just for the district right now. I just don't feel comfortable commingling money, donation money with operational money. I think that could be a real can of worms. I don't want to do it.
Okay.
Rosie, why don't you stop recording at this point?